Get out of here, Ben. You're the most biased man in America.
I do condemn Netanyahu.
Muslims can't say it, but the Israelis can say it all day long as they do it. They're murdering Palestinians as we speak.
They need to disavow a fundamentalist belief that wants to kill all Jews as a disease and not allow them to live. That might not bother you, but it does bother me as an Israeli Jew.
That's such a weak excuse. I'll tell you why.
My people,
yes, I'll tell you why.
Please.
Because you always hide, like as if Israel's a tiny little country.
It is.
And they're so
defenseless. Tiny little country.
They're so, oh my God, they can't do anything against the powerful Palestinians who they imprison and take away their water, power, electricity, murder them at all terms, etc. We're no.
Yeah, breaking down this insane debate between Cenk and Ben on TYT. Usually these guys get along perfectly fine, but holy today or yesterday rather, they really got into it on TYT. This was totally crazy. TYT tempers flare over Netanyahu's rejection of a two-state solution. Like I said, usually in the past, whenever I've seen this Ben dude on TYT, seems like a perfectly nice progressive commentator. Never followed him very in depth, but holy crap, he is a total simp for Israel. You're gonna witness straight up propaganda, Israeli propaganda talking points coming out of this mother mouth, and Cenk is none too pleased. I'm surprised this guy even wanted to work at TYT in the first place. Now that I've seen this debate, I'm like, given what this guy is talking about and the things he's saying, it seems like he lives on a whole other planet than the rest of the Young Turks crew. Yeah, get ready, guys.
Is the illegitimacy of Hamas. They're a terrorist organization that rapes people as a matter of public policy and as the way to resist and get the change they want. Rape and shoot nails into the vaginas of women and take
pause this really quick because I already got a break
hostages and still holds them.
This has been a thoroughly debunked story, by the way. I tweeted about this the other day, the Guardian article that was like, oh, new evidence emerges, and then that evidence is just like stories from IDF soldiers that are secondhand and doesn't include a single first-person account. Yeah. Also, the family that was cited in the widespread New York Times article about the mass rapes actually walked back their comments. So they had to do there wasn't an official retraction, but the family walked back their comments because it's the New York Times, obviously. So anyway.
Them hostage. So
sure, I'll respond to that.
Sure. So in some ways you see the illegitimacy. I would say in every damn way possible, you should see the illegitimacy. You both called it a genocide. It is not a genocide. The International Criminal Court will decide officially whether they think it is or not. It's a sham accusation. It's ridiculous because it is Israel defending itself. I got back yesterday from Israel. I was there for 10 days. During the 10 days that I was there were approximately 170 missiles launched at Israel. There were 9 on-the-ground terrorist attacks. There were Israelis murdered in the streets while I was there. There were rockets that hit Tel Aviv near where I was. I didn't have to seek shelter because it wasn't the exact part of Tel Aviv I was in, but friends of mine did. If you are at the mercy of a terrorist organization.
At the mercy?
You mean the IDF as the terrorist organization?
No, I do not mean the IDF as a terrorist organization. The IDF is defending itself against this genocidal monsters, these genocidal monsters that are Hamas, and
can we pause this,
well
please?
Documented. And
let's just chime in because we've gone about as far as I can go. Cenk, God bless you and your co-host in this for having more patience than me. Fortunately, I can just pause this guy to give myself a reprieve from the absolute sewage that he's just spilling out of his mouth. It's 100% propaganda. This is hook, line, and sinker Israel talking points. And by the way, it's so ridiculous. Like it's so flimsy and shallow because he's not bringing up any actual events. Like he's bringing up amorphous rocket strikes. He's bringing up like dude, have you ever seen a video clip of what Gaza looks right now? Like, who the fuck do you think did that? Oh, well, we had to do that because of Hamas. Okay, well, what do the fucking people of Gaza have to do because of the IDF? What do they have to do to respond to that? Of course, that's not part of your calculation at all. There's no calculation to how do we settle this situation. It is about bloodlust. It is about fucking revenge. And they're willing to do it with lies, blatant lies. Oh, shooting nails up vaginas. Dude, where is your fucking evidence for that? Where's the woman that had that happen to her? Let's have her speak. Oh, wait, not a single publication's been able to find or reach her? Huh. Oh, No, but don't worry. The same IDF soldier who said that they were chopping off babies' heads and throwing them into ovens with no fucking evidence, or, oh, hey, look, it's a calendar for all the Jews they want to exterminate, or a board of all the, actually, it's a calendar in Arabic, you fucking idiots. Like, you know what I'm saying? The propaganda, it's so thin. It's so thinly veiled, right? They're dropping fucking white phosphorus, not just in Lebanon, but in Gaza. It's fucking insanity. So there's international war crimes. For him to dismiss the fucking charges of genocide, but then turn around and call it a genocide against Israel, like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Yeah. This guy is fucking deranged.
Everybody understands that it's an incredibly difficult situation with an incredibly unique set of circumstances of how densely populated it is, how monstrous Hamas is by using their own people as human shields, by putting all of, we're still using that because it's a fact, Cenk.
Fact.
What you're still using is genocide and ethnic cleansing, neither of which make any sense or hold the muster of fact.
It's absurd.
It is not ethnic cleansing because if you've ever been to Israel, have you been to Israel?
Why would I go to a barbarous country that imprisons 5 million Palestinians and never lets them go, and brutalizes them, murders them at every turn? So why would I go to that country? Are you insane? No one go to Israel. You should never go to Israel until they end the occupation, and then we love them and we go back.
It's an incredible nation, and it's the only democracy in the Middle East that
democracy.
And you all the time use that as the example of why they should be held to a different standard than Hamas. You talk out of both sides of your mouth in this issue.
We just be like, hey man, in the last election, did the Palestinians get to vote in the Israeli election? They didn't. No. Weird. That doesn't sound like a democracy to me. That sounds like what? An apartheid. Wait, what'd you do with all the rest of the Palestinians? Oh, they're all in the same place. Oh, what are you doing to that place? Oh, you're bombing it. Oh, well, where do they get to go to? Oh, you're bombing where they get to leave to? Oh, well, they get food and water and electricity and medical care, right? Because this is the only democracy in humanity. Oh, no, you're cutting all of that off too. Oh, women have to give birth with no anesthesia, C-sections, 10 children lose a limb every single day. Oh, people are starving to death. There's an intense famine. Oh, it's been a week without power there. Oh, wait, what's going on in Israel? Oh, yeah, those people are pissed off and retaliating about this. No fucking shit, you fucking moron. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's like when people are like, oh my God, in Iraq, the fucking Iraqis, they blew up one of our tanks. I'm like, no shit, it was in their back fucking yard. Yeah, I'll tell you what, ISIS puts a tank in your backyard. You see what you fucking do, okay? I'm just saying, right? Like, you act fucking shocked. Did you not know this was gonna happen? I broke down your door, came sitting on your couch, eating your fucking food. You come in the house, what are you gonna do? You gonna let me stay there? You gonna be fucking happy to see me? No, I don't fucking think so.
Issue constantly. You say they're a democracy, so that's why they have to be held to a different standard. Then I call them a democracy, and you laugh mockingly at the only democracy that is our allies in that region. It's so ridiculous and egregious. And despite all of the evidence shown and all of the tactics that the IDF takes under the advisement of what it needs to do to try to attain its objectives militarily, it does a litany of things that no other nation does. It's an average of 2.5 civilians killed to military combatants compared to.
Okay, here's what they love to do. That's a lie. That's a fucking lie, right? But it's like, who is the IDF deciding actually got killed by them in Israel? Oh no, all those other people were killed by Hamas. All those people were killed by Hamas. See, because we had to bomb the hospitals and the schools and all the infrastructure because of Hamas, and then all those people died because of that. See how that was Hamas's fault? You know what I mean? It is literally the embodiment of the Eric Andre meme where he like shoots that guy and then he looks at the camera and he's like, why would Hamas do this? Like, you know what I mean?
To a typical ratio of other wars that is much higher compared to American wars that's 10 to 1, 12 to 1. Yet those numbers do not bother you. You say
what
that
do you mean they don't bother me? I did a decade of shows against that.
Those numbers don't affect your opinion of what's going on now, I meant to say. And you then also just make up that they're clearly trying to get the Gazan people into Egypt and displace them when that is not true. There have been some insane statements from some elements in the Israeli government that are not the official position of the government.
Just so that everybody knows, right? If we're looking at what Reuters it's citing, and you can't trust Reuters because they're gonna cite the Gaza Health Ministry and the World Health Organization and all this kind of stuff, right? But it looks like as of December 9th, so this is a while ago, 18,000 Palestinians had been killed approximately, and about 1,200 Israelis had been killed. So you guys do the math on that. And it looks like from newer numbers that I've seen.
Yeah, I've heard it's way higher. On the
it's way
Palestinian
higher
side.
now.
Yeah.
It's way higher now. And I have seen new number. Like it's tough because there's a lot of variation in some of these numbers. At least 20. Yeah, right now people are saying that the number is closer to 25,000, and that's from the UN. So I imagine that is maybe undercounting at least a little bit, and then it looks like the number is still right around 1,300 Israeli deaths. And nobody's saying that those deaths don't matter. Of course, that's horrible. Any regular fucking person that gets caught up in a war, their death is a tragedy. But that's why we have to put this to an end, right? And also just to remind everybody that the scale is about 20-1 at the minimum. At the minimum. And also you have to, anyway, that doesn't include the deaths of famine, of like not having medical access, of like, all the infrastructure is destroyed. So what if you have diabetes or something and you can't get insulin? You have to understand how this actually is going to fan out and to be like catastrophically more deaths than this. And also when you have over 1 million people displaced, that's going to lead to a lot of early deaths that would have, been avoided had these people been able to stay put and live in their fucking homes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is not what the statement of
just
Netanyahu
said from the river to the sea.
He said from the river to the sea, they need to have control of their security. What are you talking about?
That's exactly what the Palestinians say. When we say from the river to the sea, they say it's political. But when it's a Muslim,
exactly not
genocide. No, they didn't actually do it. When it's Israel, when they're actually doing the genocide, no. From the river to the sea, as they're in the middle of the genocide,
that is
you
such
think, no big deal, no big deal.
That is such an ignorant statement. When the Palestinians say from the river to the sea, they literally are saying without Jews and Israelis living there and pushing them into the sea. Because
this monster is actually killing them, butchering them.
That's why you've condemned the statement.
Even on one side and
I just want to give it up to bro on the far left who's been chilling there with his hoodie on, waiting for his turn. He's got his hand up. I have been this man so many times. I just want to give this guy props because I've been this bro where you're like, my homie's in this shit right now, and I'm gonna let him have his thing because he's boxing, right? But I really want to say some shit too. And he's just looking there like he's like putting his hand in, like he's like, maybe I could be the referee, and if I just stick my hand out and it doesn't get bit, the dogs will back away. You know what I mean? It's like I have been you, my man. So I haven't seen when he has to contribute, but I'm waiting for it. And we'll see. Yeah, base dude on the left. Thank you. I have been the base dude on the left. Who's the guy at the bottom of the screen that's not saying anything? That's me.
Because that's why you've condemned the statement.
Theoretical statement on one side, and on the other side,
why did you condemn it? So why did you condemn the statement? Because you know that's what it means. That's why you condemned it.
Why don't you condemn Netanyahu, that monster who just
because you're not saying that they need to.
Sorry. Get out of here, Ben. You're the most biased man in America.
And I do condemn Netanyahu.
Muslims can't say it. But the Israelis can say it all day long as they do it. They're murdering Palestinians as we speak.
They need to disavow a fundamentalist belief that wants to kill all Jews as a disease and not allow them to live. That might not bother you, but it does bother me as an Israeli Jew.
That's such a weak excuse.
I'll tell you why. My people,
yes, I'll tell you why.
Please.
Because you always hide, like as if Israel's a tiny little country.
It is.
And they're so defenseless.
They're
so, oh my God, they can't do anything against the all-powerful Palestinians who they imprison and take away their water, power, electricity, murder them at all terms, etc. No. If someone was actually trying to kill the Jews, Ben, I would line up in the front line with you. Are you crazy?
They just did that on October 7th.
Exactly. So you go
and they just did it when I was there. They just killed a bunch of people.
So why don't you care about Palestinian lives, Ben?
Of course I do.
24,000 dead, 10,000 children.
Of course I do.
You don't care about them. You don't care about them at all.
Cenk, you can shout all you like, but you are the one condemning them to murder. So why don't you care about their lives?
Condemning them to murder?
You're condemning them to.
Oh, bro, we got a doozy to unpack here, bro. It's their own fault that the children are being massacred. 10,000. Dude, this guy has no fucking soul. This guy has no soul because you know what? Cenk is right. Cenk is right that if this was an actual attack on like a people because of their religion or their background, I do believe in Cenk's heart of hearts. He would be out there 100% every single fucking day advocating for this, just like you would be, just like I would be, just like all of the people that we give a fuck about, right? That's why we make an explicit point to say, yeah, don't fucking don't listen to Jackson Hinkle when he talks about Palestine. He's just doing it because he's feeding an anti-Semitic, fucking gross white supremacist Christian nationalist base of his. Don't retweet and fucking support Jacob Shields, who is a fucking ridiculous anti-LGBT, fucking anti-Semitic dog whistling crazy person, lunatic, right? Those people are not sincere allies of the cause. And it was interesting. People gratuitously criticized Norm Finkelstein, which is absolutely absurd. Jamal Bowman was
we're gonna get into that later.
Yeah, coming after him. All this kinds of shit. Even when he was on our podcast, somebody who has to make no declarations about it. I mean, this man's parents survived the Holocaust. Let me say that again. Not somebody he knew, not his great uncle. No, his mom and dad survived the Holocaust. Okay. And even he's like, hey guys, like I want to be careful about how I talk about this, the country of Israel. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't want to be taken out of context and used by these anti-Semitic opportunists, right? And neither does Cenk. And that's why Cenk incorrectly relented on the from the river to the sea thing, because he's trying to balance the both sides, right? This guy over here, Ben Gleib, I'd never heard of him until today, but boy howdy, is he making a fucking name for himself in my brain, and it is not a fucking good one. What a fucking absolute, I don't even have words for it. The inhumanity that's coming out of this man's mouth, the like lack of any kind of human compassion. I wonder what's inside of his heart, because it can't be anything good.
Israel, poor Israel is being made to kill them.
Palestinians. You are condemning Palestinians to murder. Because every time I suggest that you put any pressure.
No, I was making a joke about the guy on the left. Just wait.
Oh, yeah. He's going to cut in at one point. You'll see.
Or the world puts any pressure on Hamas to stop, you say they're terrorists. You can't ever tell them to stop. So you can only tell Israel to stop, which, as you know, for a goddamn fact, means that this war will end. Hamas will regroup. They will kill more Israelis, and Israel will kill more Palestinians. And that's what you want. That's what you're advocating for.
Insane, Ben.
That's exactly what you're advocating for.
I want a two-state solution where you actually have peace.
So do I.
But not Netanyahu.
That's a horrible statement he makes, and that should not be the position.
Terrorist, right?
But you add, no, not terrorist.
Of course he's a terrorist. He just said from the river to the sea, and he's actually doing it. He's 20 times the terrorist that Hamas
will be with you if he actually encourages.
He's doing it, man. What more do you need? 48,000.
Not one person's been displaced out of Gaza.
Are you insane?
What? Okay, this is where it's gone off. That not one person has been displaced. What are you? That is just over 1 million people.
What does that even mean?
You can't argue with these people. You can't argue with people who don't want to live in reality. What they want to do is they want to exterminate the fucking population of Gaza. They want all of Israel to themselves. And also, what the fuck? Both of them agreeing on a two-state solution, guys. This is never going to fucking happen. It needs to be a one. Like, I mean, and not to tell people what it needs to be, but I just don't understand why we're going to concede that argument. It was the argument at the end of the fucking South African apartheid to make like North South Africa and South Africa, like East and West South Africa. Like, no.
It's squished into a little corner where they're being bombed.
That's what you're saying he's doing. Why doesn't Egypt allow any refugees?
Because that's the displacement.
No, voluntary displacement, like happens in every war. At the beginning of
voluntary. Did you just say that was a voluntary displacement?
What was? If the possibility of going into Egypt would be voluntary, like in the first month of the Ukraine-Russia war, 5.9 million people were allowed in.
The Rafah
for some reason, the Gazan people's neighbors, their fellow Muslims, don't allow them in. Not one person. They condemn them to death.
That's the ethnic cleansing when you drive them from their homes.
During war, temporary displacement.
One thing. So Ben, you and I agree that we have no support of, or we agree that the Netanyahu government is extremist and is disproportionately violent. Do you agree with that?
I agree they are extremists, and I agree they are not a partner for peace, and I do not agree they're disproportionately.
Okay,
I agree with that.
No, let's.
Proportion is not a standard used in war. You try to win a war. No, it's not.
It's what war crimes are all about. That.
No, it is not.
There's no. You don't measure that in war. You don't measure the. Okay, great. So just drop nukes then. Every time we have a battle, we'll just drop nukes. Oh, well, that's not what I'm talking about. So now that's not what we're talking about. Also, the voluntary displacement, you temporarily get them to leave and then you steal all their fucking land. Go knock around the fucking West Bank and see what happens if people leave their homes. You don't even have to leave. You just kick them out. It's fucking crazy. Oh my God. The fact that this is like, what's baffling to me, guys, is that we're we're actually in the minority position for people who have any power in this country, right? Everybody who has power in this country has the position of that Ben guy. Okay, absolutely insane.
Curious how there can be a future with a government that has absolutely no interest in a two-state solution.
There needs to be an election. There can't be. There can't be.
But and how can that future even come to be when both the U.S. is unconditionally backing and the Netanyahu government, because it has so much leverage, because we're not doing anything, is doubling down on its extremist policies.
Blinken is saying there needs to be 2 states.
Action. Show one piece of action.
One piece of action. They convinced Netanyahu's government to do a temporary ceasefire, to release Palestinian prisoners for hostages. Those were positions he was not into agreeing to, and they convinced him. Those are the things they convinced him to do. So you can yell all you want, Cenk, and you can sweat about it all you want.
Netanyahu wasn't even going to do that deal where they released their own hostages.
That's my understanding. That's correct.
Netanyahu is such a terrorist monster. He wasn't even going to release the Israeli hostages. We had to talk him into it.
No,
we had to talk him into releasing his own getting his hostages back. Congratulations to us. We convinced Israel to get their hostages back.
But we have to understand that people in Gaza are trapped there. They have no basic services, and they're just being attacked writ large. I understand.
So how do you suggest Hamas gets removed from power? What do you suggest?
Hold on. Before I have no defense of Hamas, but I do want to understand in context how they came to be. We do know they were democratically elected. I'm not saying they're any. Yeah,
so then, do the people have any responsibility for that? If they're
do the Israeli people have responsibility? Are you in favor of terrorism? Are you saying because Israel's a democracy, they're responsible for the terrorist Netanyahu and they should be attacked?
But most people in Hamas,
civilians have no responsibility. Yes, I want them to vote the right way, both in Gaza and in Israel. But if you start saying the civilians have responsibility, you're saying terrorism is okay.
Every nation bears some degree of responsibility.
Yeah, if the civilians bear responsibility, then basically just like kill everyone, right? Because like, show me a person who lives under a perfect government that's never done anything wrong or violated any human rights. It doesn't exist. Every government does fucked up shit, especially our own. Every single one of us here in America. If we were to, uphold this guy's ridiculous logic, we would all be fucking imprisoned, bombed, killed. Our country has done more horrible terrorism than all other countries combined over the course of the last 50 years. Are you fucking kidding me?
I know. And to go back to the 10-7 when all this was breaking, we literally made that exact case on this podcast. We said, hey, there are some deranged lunatics calling themselves leftists right now that are saying oh yeah, these fuckers deserved it. Look at what the Israeli government does. And we were like, we all got here. Pull the tape. Go fucking find it. I know it's out there. We talked about this for an hour. You cannot have a heart and a conscience and say that these people, anybody, deserve to be killed because of what their government did. And if you do believe that, then you better be watching your fucking ass the next time you go to any event in America, because I can tell you for sure, an American was just killed with fucking U.S. full support in Israel, right? That guy was, you know what I mean? We've had so many crimes committed in the name of our country, in the name of freedom, in the name of spreading democracy, in the name of fucking peace. We gave a fucking war criminal a Nobel Peace Prize. I guess we didn't. The fucking Swiss did that shit. Yeah. Or the Swedish or whoever does the fucking Nobel Prize. It's the Swiss, right? Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. What we said is that you can never do that. You can never say that, because then the next time you're at the Riot Festival or you're at Coachella or some shit, then you have to be like, yeah, mow everybody the fuck down. Good riddance, government. How does that hold the people who actually made those decisions accountable? It doesn't. It's just bloodlust. And it's debasing people and making them exactly what the fucking worst elements of society are, right? And yes, I don't distinguish between the violence that's done in the name of the idea for the United States of America and the violence that's done by fucking Hamas or any other organization, right? Violence is violence. I don't believe in a state monopoly on it. I believe in the fucking, pursuit of diplomacy. But to act like that would be absolutely insane. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out and say that we had that exact same position when it was Hamas that did that violence versus when it was the IDF that did the violence, or whether it was the United States that did the violence, or whether it was ISIS or ISIL or fucking Boko Haram or any of these fucking organizations that will, do fucking acts of terror.
Right. And of course, that's also the logic of Hamas, as Cenk pointed out, right? That's why they did those attacks, because in their eyes, Israeli people, civilians, they should pay the price for the crimes of the Israeli government. And Ben has accurately identified that as terrorism, now to only completely contradict himself, revealing just how, just how erroneous his actual commentary is as far as the ethics of war go.
100%.
for its leaders.
But
That's what Hamas says, Ben. Be careful.
Cenk and Ben, half the population in Gaza was not even born when these folks were elected.
Sure.
All they've known is a world of cages and deprivation
and education that makes them want to kill Jews as well.
I don't know how much of
cages?
this is education.
What cages?
Gaza is an open air prison, right? You wouldn't agree with that?
No,
I mean, it's blockaded. I mean, it was next to impossible in the times I've spent. I've been in the Sinai, so not in Israel, like full disclosure. But in the only way
you were invited in there many times.
Oh no, I was invited to Gaza.
Who cares about being there? We can all read. We all have eyes.
It's not about that. It's about trying to understand the situation and condition within which Palestinians are living, and trying to just sort of have some compassion for that. I'm not calling you anything. You've noticed.
I appreciate it, nor am I you, but I have tons of compassion for them. But I've been trying to explain forever these terms that get thrown around, despite as many times as you and I debate about this, Cenk, and you don't have an answer to this, and the next time I'm on, you still say ethnic cleansing. It is not ethnic cleansing if the 2 million Arab Palestinians in Israel proper are treated with full rights. It is simply the existential threat coming from the government of the people in Gaza. If you can't separate that, you can't ever have an intelligent conversation about it that's going to ever evolve.
Okay, hold on. He's addressing me. So, Ben, look, we've yelled at each other. We've said nasty things about each other, including in this segment. But let's be clear, okay? So when you say that it's not ethnic cleansing to drive 85% of the people of Gaza out of their home, that sounds ludicrous. You might think it sounds fine, and Israeli supporters might think, oh yeah, I got 100 talking points, and it sounds great to us. But the rest of the world, I know you don't believe me, but the rest of the world goes, that's not ethnic cleansing? What the hell is ethnic cleansing?
Well,
if driving 85% of the people out of their homes, destroying 70% of the buildings,
punishment, right?
and now destroying the graves, which is the next story we're going to get to. So if that's not ethnic cleansing, I don't know what your definition of ethnic cleansing is.
It is while trying to remove Hamas, who you will admit fortifies itself in every bit of buildings. I was just there. I spoke off the record for over an hour to battalion commanders.
Every single building that the IDF has destroyed, there was a little bit of Hamas in each one of them that justified that building's destruction. That's how they do it. They just hide a little bit of Hamas. Like, this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. He's literally just making shit up right now.
Is Hamas in the room with us right now, Ben?
There's a little bit of him over here. You better order a drone strike on the entire fucking apartment complex, Zach.
Don't worry, you live in the West Bottoms. They won't be able to tell which one's been hit and not.
Yeah, it already looks like a war zone down here. I was in an Uber the other day, and the cab driver was like, "It looks like Kiev down here."
Yeah, dude, Gavin. Look, hey, fuck you, man. Rent's expensive down here.
Who explain that in 80% of homes they go into, there are weapons found, there are Hamas properties found there, tunnels under all kinds of homes.
Did you get to speak to Gazans who are suffering?
No, I wasn't able to get into Gaza.
Yeah, I know.
I did go to the West Bank.
Because if you got into Gaza, they would have probably killed you too.
I did go to
those same battalion commanders would have killed you, just like they killed the Israeli hostages. And you're walking around in Gaza. I accidentally killed 24,000 people.
Does that not prove the fact that they've also killed their own people? Does that not prove that it's just the incredibly dense fact of this area? They're not.
The IDF has fucking killed its own people constantly. Also, when I was going to the bathroom, I heard that they were talking about the swap of like not prisoners but hostages.
Yeah.
And that was rejected by Israel. There was early on, there was a huge hostage swap, and it was rejected by Israel. So this guy pretending that like Benjamin Netanyahu tried to do all this. Anyway, it's just completely.
And then they killed their own hostages because they thought they were Palestinian women or whatever. Yep. Remember? They're like, oh, sorry, we had to do that. They were wearing face coverings that made them appear Muslim, right?
Yeah. Oh, so that which is the most like incriminating thing. Oh yeah, we just saw some people we thought were Muslim, so we mowed them down.
Yep.